Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a good one. I'm always eager to talk more Megadeth, and today I'm doing something a little different. I'm going to rank Megadeth's studio albums, the covers of them, the album artwork. And now I'm not only going to do the originals, I'm not going to do the remasters because they changed some of the covers up for the remastered versions, but we're doing with what was originally released with the album. And also no EPs. This is a straight studio albums. So I don't want to spend too much time. We got 15 to go through, so let's start. So coming in the last place, number 15, we got Megadeth's Cryptic Writings. Now, very basic album. I don't care for the font. We don't get the cool Megadeth font for the logo of the band. We get this grayish, like off-white background, and we just get like, it's almost like a compass in the middle with like four symbols, like a star and a circle. It looks like something that I scribbled at in my books at school when I was back in school, like when I was bored not listening to the teacher. It doesn't look like something you should put on a major band's release. It literally looks like a doodle in a scrapbook. So to me, it's just a little too basic and not very well thought out. Next up at number 14, we got Super Collider. Now, this is not only a bad album, but I find the cover is really weird. The artwork, yeah, it's a Super Collider, but it's not something that's really amazing to look at or anything. We get these like orangish red, yellowish colors, and with blue on the outside. That's pretty much it. It's just a cylinder. And I find even the logo for Megadeth, while the font's good, the colors, it just almost fades in with the background. You can barely see it. Same thing with Super Collider. It's just such small writing, and that on the bottom that you can hardly make it out. And again, it just not very creative, and it just reminds me of one of my least favorite songs, which is Super Collider. It's just, they could have done something more with this. They could have had like someone getting sucked into one or something, but just showing you the cylinder it's just not for me. So coming in at number 13, we got 13. Who would have thought? This is just literally Vic Rattlehead facing the opposite direction, so you only get to see his backside. So really a waste to put in there. We get him there with just candles and like two darker colored walls with a bunch of like writing like 13 written all over them, almost like in the number 23 with Jim Carrey, almost like that style. And that's it. It's, I don't know, for being your 13th album and you calling it 13, you think they would have went a little bigger with their artwork. At least show us Vic Rattlehead, like turn him around. Like have him go crazy writing 13 on the walls like Jim Carrey did in number 23 or something, because it just, again, it's just basic and it really means nothing to me. I never think of this album cover when I'm going through the discography. So next up at number 12, we got Risk. Now, this is another fairly simple cover. You just got a little tiny piece of a mousetrap. We get like the little metal part in the middle. And it's hard to, I didn't even know this was a mousetrap until I seen the remastered cover where it shows a different perspective. It shows like a cat and the mousetrap. Either way, talking about the original, I do like how Megadeth is like burnt into the wood. Like you almost get a like a, what do you call that, branding or whatever into the wood. I found that was cool, but I think they should have zoomed out a tiny bit and show at least like the spring of the mousetrap in that, because just showing you that little part, it almost looks like a latch for a door or something that just says Risk on it. So again, I kind of like the wood, but it's nothing special. So next up at number 11, we got The World Needs a Hero. Very weird effects on this, like a blurriness to it that I don't think adds much. It's supposed to be Vic Rattlehead coming out of this body that's laying there and all the blood and that, but it just doesn't look very good. I think they had an idea, but the execution was way off. And for an album called The World Needs a Hero, it doesn't really add up to anything on the cover. And Vic Rattlehead is like full on skeleton mode in this picture. Like I said, there's this weird blurriness to it. The colors aren't right. They had an okay idea, like concept, but the execution was totally off. So coming in at number 10, I can't believe this is number 10, is Killing Is My Business, the first debut album by Megadeth. Like, they spent all their budget on drugs and stuff, so they didn't have any money for their cover, and it still wound up number 10 of 15, which is pretty impressive. It's very poorly made. Again, they had the idea of something crazy, but they just couldn't put it on paper. You get Vic Rattlehead, like a prototype of his skull, but it just doesn't look good at all. Everything looks cheap. It looks like I made it and took a picture of it, like almost like a head of lettuce for a skull. It just doesn't look good at all. You get like one little candle and a chain going around. But one thing I will say, this is one of the only times we get a different font for the logo of Megadeth, and it looks pretty cool. It's like old style, the way it's written, like the font of it. And it's just cool to see like a different font for the logo. But again, it's a pretty weak album cover. So coming in at number 9, we got So Far, So Good, So What? Always found this cover weird. Like, at first I wasn't sure if it was some type of alien on the cover or just some type of soldier. But I think it's supposed to be Vic Rattlehead. But it's just really hard to make out the face. And like, it doesn't really make much sense. It almost looks like he's in space with his gun. And because you see Earth in the background. And there's like some type of explosion going off on the bottom of the picture. But it's like, what the hell is this? Again, the Vic Rattlehead character is not portrayed very good at all in this picture. And it's too bad, because they could have had something really cool there as him as a soldier, but I don't know what they were thinking making this one. Okay, so we're at number 8 right now. All the ones I mentioned, they were fairly bad or just unmemorable. We're getting into the better ones now. At number 8, we got Endgame. Really cool little take on the prison. You have everybody with these like barcodes almost on their heads. They're all shaved, and we got them going down like this hallway thing with all the jail cells on the side, and we got flies around the rim of the album cover, which was pretty cool to have that. It's nothing too crazy or special, but it's unique enough, and I think that it's better than all the ones I mentioned previous. So coming in at number 7, we got United Abominations. Now this is the first one where we get Vic Rattlehead with some skin. It's almost like him as a human, but he still has the things over his ears and his eyes with the closed mouth too. He's getting carried by some type of angel character. And this is like almost like a comic book cover to me. It just seems to be some devastation going on at the United Nations. And it's a pretty cool little album cover. Not my favorite, but definitely not bottom of the barrel either. So coming in at number 6, I got Megadeth's Countdown to Extinction. This is like a real life cover. No more cartoons like we just had in United Abomination. This is an old man levitating who looks really skinny, almost like anorexic like, and is like has his mouth wide open, and he has like a little plate beside him on the floor. Well, the floor is made of grates with like bones in it. He almost looks like he's in a prison cell. He has like just a sink behind him and a tiny ass little window, and it's just cool and kind of shocking to see like a real life picture, because a lot of these metal bands, they like to do like this more animated, since they can do more gore and stuff like that on the covers, but this is a straight up realism right here. Next up at number 5, we got The System Has Failed. This is where the band tried to go back to a little bit more of a heavier style like they had before in like Rust in Peace era, and it shows on the cover too. We get Vic Rattlehead back again. We're back to politics like the band was before. And on the cover here, we got a lineup of politicians ready to see Vic Rattlehead here, what it looks to be like for a reservation or something. You see one of them carrying Plan B. And just looking real quick, you can see the Clintons, you can see Bush. So yeah, really cool that they added actual politicians in this lineup too. It's a real punch in the face to the government at the time. And you can see the White House there in the background. Just pretty cool cover. I like the colors too, how everything's like dark, almost like an apocalypse going on. We got the reddish sky. And yeah, just a really cool cover art that went back a little bit to its roots. So coming in at number 4, we got Dystopia. Another album with Vic on the cover, but this time he is set almost like a sheriff, or some type of police officer, but he has a big ass like katana in his hand and the head what looks like a dystopian version of like Lady Liberty. And it's very cool blue colors in this on this cover. Got, like these floating balls with lights and like cameras on them. It's just like in the future, so we got like these robotic things floating around. We got this bridge that's half destroyed, and it really looks like dystopia. It's kind of the perfect cover for the subject matter. Next up at number 3, we got Euthanasia. Now, these are getting into the real good album covers right here. I really like this album cover. You got the old lady hanging up the babies upside down on the clothesline. And at first look, you're like, this is kind of sadistic and weird, but you notice the babies are all smiling and having a great time. And it really lines up with the Euthanasia song itself, with its lyrics, how they've been hung out to dry, and they're in a better place than being on the streets in the, homeless or in a bad situation with the family. This is a place where they can be at peace, and it has nothing to do with euthanasia, like what do you call that, like help suicide there, like in the hospital. It has nothing to do with that, or like pulling the plug. This is something completely different. I also really like this, like the purples in the background with the grass mountains. It's just a really awesome cover that I've always liked, and people really like it, catches people's eyes really easy, this one. So coming in at number 2, we got Rust in Peace, the masterful album by Megadeth, and a pretty damn good cover at that too. It's my number 2. I love sci-fi, so this is right up my alley. You got Vic Rattlehead with some kind of emerald in his hand, and he's touching an alien capsule, like a capsule that an alien is laying in. This is supposed to be like Hangar 18 stuff, Area 51. You got, again, politicians and like scientists behind him. And it was just a big play on Area 51, like, is it real, is it not, with all the conspiracies with aliens. And that's just right up my alley. I also love the color blue, so this is real nice with most of it being blue. And they did a nice choice of making Megadeth logo like yellowish, orangish yellowish tint to it, to really make it stand out on the blue, where I see that they failed with that before, trying to make them the same color, and it kind of gets blended in with the background. But this time it really worked. But easily coming in the first place for me is Megadeth's Peace Sells, their second album. And to me, this is their best cover art ever. You get like all the flags of all the countries behind Vic while he's leaning on his for sale sign. Again, at the time in 1986, this was like a slap to the face to all governments and to UN and the things that they were letting slip by that was happening in the world. This is definitely an inspiration for me to get another tattoo. I always wanted like Vic leaning on the thing with just three of the jets going over his head. That'd be so cool as an arm tattoo. The colors of red with a little bit of purple in the sky again brings out like the apocalypse nature. They kind of went with the same colors for the Megadeth logo as they did Rust in Peace, which again was a good choice since they don't have a yellowish background on their cover art. It's just in the logo, so it tends to stand out. And yeah, this is just easily for me one of the best covers in all metal. This is one of my favorites, and that's why I want a tattoo of it so bad. So there you guys have it. There are my 15 Megadeth album cover art rankings from worst to best. They had a few bad ones there. I would say 9 of them aren't that great. And then 6 of them are pretty damn good, and then Rust in Peace and Peace Sells are just freaking amazing to me. They're right up my alley. And an honorable mention would be Euthanasia as the third best. But guys, let me know down below which is your favorite, which is your least favorite, and I'll be sure to respond back. And until next time, just thanks for watching, guys.